Let's make it snow. In this video, I'll show you how I make a fake snow paste that you can use in your Christmas village displays. There are a lot of methods and materials out there for modeling snow, but this is the way that I like to do it. This is the way that I found works best for me. First up, let's talk materials. We'll be using baking soda for the majority of our snow. And the one thing that you have to remember with baking soda is that it can yellow over time. So to avoid that, we'll need to mix it with something. In this case, gloss Mod Podge. You could also use white glue, but I find that Mod Podge is a bit thicker and gives me better control when I'm adding this stuff to a display. We'll also be adding a small bit of white paint. Mixing the baking soda in with Mod Podge and white paint seals in all the little particles and prevents it looking like a dog peed all over your beautiful display. Now let's mix it up and make some snow. You want to get yourself a little container for the mixing. In this case, I'm just using a plastic cup. You also want to use something to stir it with, like this popsicle stick. First thing we're going to do is pour some Mod Podge into a container. I can't really give you an exact ratio or mix here, but you should start with just a little bit at first because you can always add more later. Next, add your baking soda, just a little bit to start, and a small drop of white paint. It's really easy to add more or less of each to figure out the perfect consistency for what you're doing. You should experiment with these ratios to find out what works best for your project and your needs. If you add more Mod Podge, the whole mix gets a little bit more runny, which can be useful for spreading it out over a large surface or a flat surface. If you add less Mod Podge, it's easier to build it up and create mounds and snowdrifts and cool things like that. It's really easy to add more or less of each to figure out the perfect consistency for what you're doing. Now let's talk about when to use this snow paste. I usually use this when I'm adding snow to a display in small areas like drifts and mounds. I wouldn't really make this and spread it out over an entire platform because that would just be a lot of waste and it's not really necessary. For something like that, I'd rather just use white paint and paint the whole thing white first and then add these little touches of snow in certain areas. I usually like to add it along the edges of cliffs and walls, not over the entire thing, but just enough to give a nice effect. And here you can see I've added to these stairs. I love to push it into corners like this to make it look like snowdrifts. You can even add it to your trees. A lot of this just comes down to personal preference, and I'd encourage you to play around with it and figure out what works best for your display and your project. When it comes to applying the paste, I like to use a small palette knife like this one that I bought off of Amazon. If you don't have a palette knife, that's perfectly fine too. You can use the same popsicle stick you mixed it all up with, or you could even use your fingers. Just be prepared with paper towels because this stuff can get a bit messy and sticky when it's on your hands. But actually, I find that there are a lot of times when the fingers work best. So there you have it. It doesn't take any kind of magic or expensive materials to make this snow. You could probably make it right now with stuff you have lying around your house. And like I said earlier, this isn't the only way to make modeling snow. There are a lot of other techniques and materials, but this is just the cheapest and easiest way that I've found that works best for me. As always, if you enjoyed this video and you learned something, then please give me a like and hit the subscribe button. Until next time, stay tuned for more village videos, and thank you for watching. A lot of this just comes down to personal preference. Personal? With Mod Podge and white paint covers all the mixing the Mod Podge with mixing the Mod Podge? No. Mixing the baking soda in with Mod Podge and